Second. And I believe we are live.
Okie
Yes, it's always a bit nerve-wracking when I click the go live button because something with technical issues and that. But it's yeah, no, I see myself there now. So we are live, and I am live with Pontus Wittenmark of Warm Kitten Studios. You have just released your game. And I think I can get this right. Justin Wack and a big time hack. I've been practicing.
Boom! You got it. I remember this was a particular challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. For me, when we spoke before a few years ago now, and we spoke back in January again with Silvernote Studios. That was going to be uploaded on the podcast in September. If you're watching live. And I just got confused with the name. I kept calling Justin Hack or the Great Time, but Justin Wack and the Big Time Hack. That's correct, yeah?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not a necessarily a good name, but it's like.
Oh no, it's.
it has an interesting like rhyme to it.
Justin Definitely, no, it's a very interesting name. I mean, I think that the issue is entirely on my end. I just read it wrong, but no, I think I got it now.
Yeah, it's because since you know that I've always now I know how to pronounce your name correctly, and I have to ask you every time we speak. So it's like, but now I'm sure about Seoirse.
You're very sure, very good. Yes. So we're both sure about the names now. That's
yes, we're making some kind of progress, you and I.
No, absolutely. I mean, 3 years later, we met at Adventure X a few years ago. We spoke, as I said, last January. Now again, and finally, I feel like there's some real progress is being made. So, welcome, Pontus. Delighted to chat to you again. So this, I believe, this is a record now. This is your third time on this podcast. Nobody else has been 3 times, I don't believe, on the podcast. So,
oh wow! I think I should feel honored about that.
Yes, if I had a prize or anything, I would send it to you. But we are here. We're talking about your new game as a Justin Wack and a Big Time Hack, which you have just released. So, huge congratulations on the release, because I mean, even releasing a game is an achievement, but it's been getting some really good reviews. So huge congratulations. How do you feel?
I feel very mentally sluggish. So I should tell that to everyone that I wasn't quite ready for how brutal release day is, with tons of, because most of the time no one's particularly interested in the game, and from the outside, and now it was a lot. So I haven't slept that much. So I'm very like. I'm in a bit of a dream state, but it's but I feel great about finally having done it. So yeah, it feels really good. It does, for sure.
Yeah, no, I bet it does. So as I said, you've been working on this game for a few years now, and as I mentioned to you before we started recording, at least from my end, from the outside, because I was a backer on Kickstarter and following the updates, there doesn't seem to have been any major, maybe there was, but it doesn't seem to have been any major hiccups or delays. I mean, the whole world, kind of exploded in 2020 with COVID and everything, but you seem to have kept working away at the game, and there doesn't seem to have been really any major delays, because I mean, we spoke about other Kickstarters which were 5, 8, 10 years with delay that are just being released now or still haven't been released, and yet it seemed to have gone by well. So was that the case? How was the development and after the Kickstarter?
Well, I think there was one, or I know there was one, at least one. No, it was one, like one delay where I said, like, okay, I'm going to have to rethink something major in the engine or the framework for it. So It's going to be 2022. I think my first. I think on the original Kickstarter page, I said I think 2021. So there was a bit of a delay there, but of course, during COVID, everyone got a pass.
Sure.
Uh, and to be frank, for me, it was like since I have a day job, it was. Or a day job is hard. I hold courses in programming, so it's all under the same banner. It's all the Warm Kitten company, that I do my stuff in. But so the COVID was actually quite handy because I had not a lot of consultancy gigs, not a lot of courses to teach, so I was basically free to hack away on the game. So it came. It was a horrible thing, but it came for this release. It was quite timely.
Yeah, I've heard that from some people. That again, COVID was and is terrible. But for other people, I've heard that there were some advantages that kind of helped them, either with working on their games or. Certainly, with me playing games, allowing me to play more games that I wouldn't have otherwise played. So
and also when you have like some sort of a commitment to release something, you do. Everyone understands that, like, okay, COVID, everything is off in COVID. So
everything's off limits.
So it's so in a strange way that might have been a little bit helpful for the release, but but mostly it's been. I think the development has been going all right. I mean, everything takes so much longer than you think, of course.
No, I mean, I can only imagine about making a game, because for me with the podcast and with videos, and I plan. I'll just take an hour to, edit these videos and upload. Of course, it takes about 2 or 3 hours, and a whole evening is gone.
Yes, yes. But I can tell you that, because you mentioned that I surprisingly have some followers on my YouTube as well, which is from another life. Which is from my programming life, where I used to do some videos. And I can tell you that editing videos are, so what you're doing is every bit as painstakingly slow and nerve-wracking as game development.
Oh, well, thank you. I've never made a game, but I would be curious. But it's, certainly that's why I go live, because it's like, hey, less editing. Whatever we say goes.
Yes, this is where it's at. This is where it's at, and that's an interesting point, because I hold a lot of courses in classrooms, and also live now since COVID, live on camera. And it's never been a problem. But when I record, video material for courses, then I all of a sudden feel very self-conscious, and I start second guessing my English, since I'm from Sweden, and I'm like, it feels weird to me. So this live thing is probably the way to go, because editing is the worst.
No, even just if I, as you say, record videos, I'm trying to record more videos for the YouTube channel, and again, I feel really self-conscious, and I just have to delete and then do it again. And right now, live, I think it's because I don't know if I'm more relaxed. It's now like, oh, sure, look, whatever will happen. It's live. But when I have to record, again, like yourself, I'm self-conscious. I'm like, oh, is that what I look like? And to edit yourself on video and hearing your own voice, it's. Do you have to do that as well? You have to edit yourself on camera and your voice.
For the courses, sometimes most voice, sure. Sometimes film as well, but it's. I found it helpful just to throw up a camera, so to not have any possibilities of editing, because if it's just your voice, you can make perfectionist cuts, where you like, I'm getting away with all my edits here. If there's a camera, you can't do it transparently.
You can't hide.
So I'm very happy that we're doing this live. Happy for
that's
you
great.
who don't have to edit, and happy for me as well. It feels easier for both of us, I think.
Oh, that's great, because I know some people prefer it not to be live in case anything which will invariably go wrong. But I also like doing it live because people can join us if they so wish. And they can ask questions. And actually, speaking on that, Kieran is in the chat. He says, this is the third part of the Pontus Wittenmark interview trilogy. Yes, the third and final part. Hopefully hopefully be just as good as the previous two and not bad ending, like, I don't know. Well, I probably shouldn't mention anything, but might be kind of like, okay, I think I can mention.
There we go with the live thing. Saying stuff like that is the danger.
Exactly. Okay, I think I can mention. I think I can mention most of us were disappointed with Rise of the Skywalker. The end of that trilogy. But I know they'll be getting in.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not Rise of Skywalker. Hopefully this is like, I don't know, Return of the King or something of the trilogy, or what's Return of the Jedi. And Sven Q45 says hi. I'm guessing he's you're Nordic as well.
Hi, Sven. Yes.
You know each other.
I do. I feel like I know you, Sven, because Sven has been instrumental in the release of the game. So Sven was one of the Kickstarter backers, and he and I had this tier for like NPC to appear in the game. So for anyone who's played the game, Sven is the flower pusher in the game is based on Sven. And his name is Sven. We hover over the hotspot.
Oh, wow! Congratulations, Sven.
And and Sven has been like just incredible at finding all of my bugs, most of them, hopefully. During playthroughs, I don't know how many times you have played through this game, Sven. It would be make an estimate and put it in whatever chat Seoirse can see, because it would be interesting to know. Because I'm very thankful for all your work, Sven. It's been he's a active member on the Discord, and that has turned out to be a really nice, because I was very hesitant at starting a Discord because, who wants a new social media platform, right?
No, absolutely. I was just thinking another thing to just get distracted by. But I agree with you. At least I think the Discord that you have and in Discord on the podcast, everyone is really nice. Yes. which is strange for social media.
It's I think Twitter so far it has been kind of nice in my
for myself as well. Twitter has been really nice, which I was not expecting when I first went on it.
Yeah, it has a bad rap, but I think it's because people, you and I we're all talking about like point and click adventures. So everyone is drinking tea and petting their cat. If you talk American politics, maybe that's not the case.
Right. Yeah, things can degenerate very quickly then.
Yes. But since I got convinced into starting a Discord, and that has been the best move I did in this in the development of this game, because I got to know people like Sven and Okona. I think that's how he pronounces his name. Okona?
Okona One Up also says hi. And so they're here as well. And Sven Q45 says thanks, and then they say I came late to the Discord. Well, so did I. I had no idea what it was until just a few years ago.
Okay. Was it Sven that said that?
Yes, Sven Q45 says I came late to the Discord.
You came late to the Discord server as well, I think. You were hovering about as a Discord user. I don't understand that much about Discord. It's new to me.
For me too. I still don't really understand it that much, but
I learned to like it though. And now that I understand that, okay, it's a forum, and I met so many helpful and enthusiastic people that it's a real energy surge rather than a drain, which is often the case with social media for me. So it's been fantastic. So yeah, both of you guys and more guys. I'm hesitant of naming names here because
Of
I don't
course.
forget people. Plus, I don't know how to pronounce any of their names.
well,
But
well,
there's
well,
a
I think.
French guy who said
Oh
like,
yeah.
you want if you want to, I could do a French translation for free. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Really? And I told him like, are you sure it's an insane number of spoken lines? But he did, and he came through, and from what I understand, it's a great translation, and
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
very
great
very
when you
happy
get
to have it.
yeah, when you get people who just offer to help as well, that they believe in your game that much.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I must say that, you know, like I really never expected that to be the case. For people to just who like whatever you're doing, willing to help out with their time like this. It's been a true gift and something I never expected. If someone would have told me that as a pitch for starting a Discord, I would like say, it doesn't sound realistic, does it? But it's yeah, it's been awesome,
yeah.
totally.
Well,
And having a Kickstarter has also been, you know, like because that's you know, a lot of people on the Discord, you know, found out about the game through the Kickstarter. Because I was a bit nervous about doing the Kickstarter because it's like, I don't know about, you know, asking people for money before you deliver something. Isn't that like uh, more complicated than just building
mm,
something and then selling it or whatever? But now I see how it's been. For me, it's been like it wasn't the money that you know, because it takes so much money to, you know, that is time to get
mm.
things done anyway. But it's the community that you build through it that is priceless, you know, in terms of having you know, a small community that actually loves your work is something that is new to me. That has felt very very humbling and you know, it's a warm, cozy feeling. So I'm very very appreciative.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you succeeded on the Kickstarter, and as I mentioned, there didn't seem to be any major delays. I mean, we mentioned COVID, and you have created this really nice community, and now the game has been released, and it has been getting some pretty good reviews. There has been several reviews that I've read that have compared it to Dave the Tentacle. As I know, there's time travel in Justin Wack, but you know, along the lines of, you know, if you like Dave the Tentacle, then you should like this game. So that must be really nice.
Yes, yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's also anyone who's hearing that in the pod. This will be on the podcast as well, I
As
imagine.
well, yes, this will be
Yeah,
uploaded on the podcast.
yeah, yeah. Anyone who heard that, lower your expectations now. I mean, it's not you know, it's not that big an operation, but it is. I feel it is a good game. I'm proud of the game, so it's and I'm I'm stoked to be getting these reviews. Uh, the Steam page, the few reviews that have came in there is looking really really good, and I mean that's heartwarming because I don't know, maybe I mentioned this when we talked in 2019 or something, but
Mm,
I played Maniac Mansion as a kid, you know, in front of the Commodore 64, and I was like blown away. You know, as soon as it came, the first, you know, like cutscene where it said like "meanwhile," and suddenly there was another part of the house, something else was going on, and I was like, okay, so this is no longer just like action games. It's actually like a very interesting storytelling device. So I was I've been this is what I've been wanting to do ever since then.
mm.
So it's very like you know, I wish I started doing this when I was younger, but I am so happy to finally have arrived here at actually putting my time into making what I always wanted to make. You know, since I worked as a programmer, as soon as I started learning programming, the first thing I did was to take screenshots of Maniac Mansion and create hotspots, you know, for websites and stuff, trying to make make that 9-verb system work. Like so it's when I look back at my programming, how I started and everything has been pointing towards this. So it's and I hope to do like a bunch of narrative, in some form, narrative games. Maybe not exactly like the story, the traditional storytelling of these, like the Justin Wack and the other Tentacle, but maybe anything that's narrative. So I'm definitely planning on doing more games. That's the plan.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic! No, I like everything that you're saying there. But it's fantastic that after you played Maniac Mansion, that now you've been following your dream and that you've just released a game. It's getting good reviews, so it's like seems like you're living the dream right now. That you're becoming, you are a developer, like Ron Gilbert and all. And Okona says, well, who hasn't been blown away by Maniac Mansion? That is correct.
Yeah.
The first time I played it was actually when playing Dave the Tentacle, that I read that you could play it on the arcade machine. So that's where I played it.
Okay.
And,
you played the meta version.
Yeah, so now I played it a little bit later. My first game was, first adventure game was Broken Sword. And a similar feeling to you, that I had been playing kind of racing games. I had played narrative focused games like Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid, but I was thinking, I wish that there wasn't so much action, or I didn't know at the time, but the RPG elements, that I thought I just want to focus mainly on the story and doing the gameplay. Then I found Broken Sword, like, this is exactly what I wanted. And Lucasarts and everything that followed. But no, it's fantastic. And speaking of Ron Gilbert, he was one of the backers, correct?
Yes, he was. So at one point, I was just scrolling through, looking for some name to find an email address or something on the backers list, and I saw his name, and I went like, and I looked at the little contact details that you can see there, and I sent a message to the guy to just verify that it was him.
So it is him.
Yes, because it wouldn't be far-fetched for someone to create a profile.
Sure, Ron Gilbert. Yes.
Yeah, when backing a point-and-click adventure. So, and I wanted to ask him as well if it was okay to mention in like promotional texts or whatever. And I was blown away when I got a reply that yes, it's me, and it's okay to mention. Because he had this. At the point, I think he still does have the Grumpy Gamer blog, right?
I think he might have had to take a break from it, shall we say?
Yeah. That's an interesting topic that we should get into.
Yeah, if
needed tonight.
Yeah, if you mention, I mean, yeah. Speaking Ron Gilbert, he is working on Return to Monkey Island, which was announced in back in April, and at a certain time recording at Gamescom, they announced a release date, which is September 19th. But yeah, on that time, because we spoke about how the people that we've interacted with in our Discord and Twitter have been, really nice. Certainly, I haven't come across directly anyone who hasn't been nice, even if they have, given suggestions or feedback on how to improve the podcast. They've always been constructive. But I was kind of very surprised. I mean, we will speak with Justin Wack, but when people were critical of the graphics of Return to Monkey Island, but then they went a step further, and a number of people started giving abuse to Ron Gilbert and some of the team as well, and he had to close down his blog. And now he's someone who's been involved in the gaming industry for about 30 plus years, so it's not like he's a young person who things would get to him. He's a veteran. And now, thankfully, things do seem to be more positive. And certainly, I've mentioned this on the podcast, that everybody is entitled to their own opinion and to express it. But equally, developers and artists like yourself have the right, A, to be respected, and B, to make the game that you guys want to make, because you guys are making it. It's for us, but this is what you guys are making. And whatever, even if we don't like it, I believe we should always respect you guys. But yeah, what are your thoughts on what has been happening about this?
Yeah, I was also very surprised and like disillusioned, because I thought everyone in our community, you know, are the TV
Yes.
the cat petting people.
That's only a minority. Again, we have to mention that we've seen that the majority of people are excited, and even if they've been kind of
of
not
course,
not overly positive about the graphics, they're still respectful. It's just the minority of people who have been kind of abusive or just
It's the same thing as always, like a very small minority, but
very loud.
It's very sad. It's the idea of, it seems to be a thing, you know, like if you're behind the keyboard, you have the right to just let off steam, thinking that you know, no one's going to see this, you know. But of course, I mean, he's likely to read the comments on his own blog, right? So it's
exactly.
So it was shocking to me, but I think also it's maybe it says something about us that we kept playing these games, you know, like, or kept you know, like this scene going, because most of the people, I bet, played these only in the 90s, and now they see like, oh, he's bringing that thing to life, and it doesn't look like my childhood. So so, you know, like so I fear that some people maybe let go of the coziness when they grew up.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's what happens. You know, people, when we play games, if we want to try and rediscover that same feeling that we had as children, it's not possible. But at least for me, I'm in my 30s and I still love playing, well, adventure games. And while it might not be exactly the same, I still really love playing games. I haven't lost the passion that I had back then. But as you said, people probably want to go back to that time. And Ron Gilbert said, no, this is not a retro game. This is a modern game with you know, references, of course. And I think maybe being this pulling back, but yeah, I just think there's a complete overreaction about a game that hasn't been released yet. Regardless of people's opinions.
Yeah, I mean, it might also have a little bit to do with like these games when he was making the original Monkey Islands. These were the biggest games on the planet.
Yes.
Now it's a little niche. You know, like so maybe it's a clash of those, you know, that huge crowd coming into our nice little niche.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
like, you know, maybe there's something there, but I mean, it's never okay to write the stuff that he published there. He did have some examples, you know, like
which just was
on Twitter some
it was horrendous. It was vile.
Yeah, it was scary for sure, especially for, I think, everyone. I talked to other developers of similar games. Like we got like, I hope people won't say that about our work.
Yeah, it's I mean,
it's very and also I was a bit sad to see like the modern game press is writing like veteran developer reportedly sad about you know, like it's like, yes, this is his game, and of course you get sad when people are being hateful about what you're pouring your creativity into. It's but they were treating it like it's like unprofessional to say that. It makes me sad to read this.
Yeah, and I just reading from some comments like on forums and on, you know, on social media, and sort of people were saying that he was throwing his toys out the pram, that he was being unprofessional, and that, you know, he should quote unquote man up. And, you know, funny thing is that these people say you should man up. If you say anything to them, they're the ones who start attacking you and be very defensive and all of that. But there's one particular comment that I found actually quite funny, and that is on Facebook. And I quote this: one person said that he was like a failed developer. And I just thought, really, just because you don't like whatever you're saying he's a failed developer? It was just incredible. But thankfully, I think since then, most of the reaction now, it has become more positive. They are releasing Monkey Island, is it hashtag Monkey Island Monday, I think. And however the game turns out, I mean, we're recording this before the game is out, but and just in the comments, Okona says it's a good thing that it's not a retro game. And yeah, I would agree. I know I've nothing against retro games, certainly adventure games, and I've played some retro games which are very good. But I think it's good that it's modern, that it's trying to be its own thing, not just look back to the past. I mean, Timbleweed Park, if you want a retro game, well, Ron Gilbert doesn't consider that a retro game either, but a lot of people would.
I think I heard him say that he's done one retro game and it was that one, didn't he? Like,
yeah, exactly. That
it was
pixel art
and everything. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And O'Connor said the old games weren't retro games when they came out. Exactly. They were state of the art at the time. They were modern at the time.
Yeah, I'm old enough to buy those games in boxes, and you were looking at the back and thinking like, wow, this is the best looking graphics I ever seen. It was definitely, there was nothing retro about them. They were state of the art in every imaginable way.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And actually, I was also thinking of when I started this game. I think I mentioned to you before that I was super naive about the genre. I told you one, like, my next game is going to be a point and click adventure. Remember those? Those were always my favorites. And he's like, yeah, those were everyone's favorite. You don't sell.
Yeah.
And I said, like, but if everyone has them as favorite, I think that's the only genre I feel just enough about to keep me going all the way to the end with another game. And I was living in the illusion of like people stopped making them. Like I thought Grim Fandango or something was the last one maybe I played. And he said, well, and he's a lot more in tune with the modern game world. And he says, yeah, I think there's still dropping a few, and he mentioned those Storytell, or is that the word, story?
Telltale,
yes. Telltale games, yeah. And then I started to Google around, when Justin Wack was just like an idea in my mind that I wanted to flesh out. I Googled and I saw this gibbous being constructed in early days of gibbous, or in the middle of something. They had a demo come up, and I was like, "Ay caramba, they're doing exactly what my vision is pretty much, and they making it look better than I can ever hope to achieve." I still believe that gibbous is maybe the most beautiful adventure or point-and-click adventure game. But you mentioned Broken Sword, which is interesting because I mean that's so beautiful as well.
Yeah, and their next game, I played their demo, is Near Mage, and it also looks absolutely stunning. It's I mean, it looks kind of like similar, I don't want to say, but similar to Curse of Monkey Island, but it's certainly not a rip-off. It's kind of along that style, but it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Just the backgrounds and the characters and the animations as well. So yeah, people can check that game out as well. And
so sorry, before we leave,
go ahead.
The pixelated and the new Monkey Island art style. It's interesting because when I started this, I was thinking I don't want pixel graphics because it feels a bit sad. There's, I love the pixelated art like everyone else, but and I love it like deeply, and like it awakens memories and stuff. But it does. There's something to me a bit too nostalgic and too. Something that feels a bit something doesn't feel right about just like redoing old stuff. So I was definitely looking for something a bit more modern. But I knew I didn't want to go the 3D route. Plus, I'm a programmer, but I totally suck at anything math related. So it's 2D all the way. So, but when it comes to his the reaction to his art style, I think it's like if it had been a pixelated game, people would have been more positive in general, probably. But people like me and maybe I think Okona said the same thing. Is like I would rather have him take. I would like every game in this genre to push something forward. So I think that's that's awesome, because what we miss about the old games, I think, is not the pixels. It's, the pixels just remind us. I wrote some piece about this when this thing was like was being discussed so much. It reminds us of our, like, it's something that reminds you of an old love or something like that, from your teenage first crush or something like that. But if you were to travel back then, it's not like, you don't necessarily want things to look the way they did, or smell and taste the way that it's more like you're missing the love itself. It's not like the visuals of the love, or the visuals of the time. We want the actual love. That's what we're missing, so, and that's what they had. Maniac Mansion did look kind of cheesy when I played it. That was not a state-of-the-art game. That was an old game. I'm born in 78, but when I played Maniac Mansion, that was already like an older game. So you had to own the disk drive to play it. But it was kind of like, the graphics was not impressive by Commodore 64 standards, but the gameplay was incredible. So it was totally the idea of having, to switch again with characters and have an actual narrative going on in the background, and the puzzles. That's what I love so much. Like, the puzzles are part of the gameplay, because personally I have a very hard time with logic puzzles. Is that the word for it?
I do as well.
I can't stand it. Like, I left so many games unfinished because, as soon as you get to, like, okay, now there's
a logic puzzle or a slider puzzle.
Yeah, sliders, or like there's often electricity and wires and stuff going on.
Yeah, I just, so if I can like brute force my way, there was a game that I just played as well.
Oh, I hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, I can hear. Oh, okay. There was a game that I played called Intruder in Antiquity, which I really enjoyed, and the puzzles were generally easy. Now, there was one kind of puzzle, like, really like an electricity puzzle. Now, I just brute forced I'm sure that there were instructions or there were visual clues. I just brute forced my way through, and within a few seconds, I was able to get it. But if you ask me how I did it, I was like, I don't know. I just was fiddling around with the buttons.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah. To me,
and I got through it, thankfully. But you know what? Whenever I see a logic puzzle like yourself, my brain just kind of clamps down, and I start to panic. I'm like, oh my God, how do I do that? And not all of them are that difficult.
No, and I have spoken to people who find them refreshing.
Yes.
So it's it is what it is. But to me, it's like, there's something about this way of telling stories that really appeals to me, and getting one of those logic puzzles, it's like reading a Russian novel, and there's a brain teaser, and you can't turn the page until you solve the brain teaser, and it's like, but I was in the middle of an interesting story here. So it's that is something that is, I'm not sure. To me, it's like, if I get to one of those, I pause and look to, if I enjoyed the gameplay so far, I will pause and check out playthrough and just copy whatever I need to copy.
I would check a walkthrough. So how did you go about creating the puzzles for Justin Wack then? Since you said you don't like logical puzzles, so how did you go about still making them, shall we say, challenging, but then still making them maybe accessible for maybe casual gamers? Or did you just try and say, okay, this is the way it is, these are going to be challenging? Or just how do you go about creating the puzzles for Justin Wack?
I think I just played around with ideas. I remember I had a couple of ideas for the game. Like, if I make a point-and-click adventure, it could be about this or it could be about that. And one was more dreamy, artsy-fartsy, and one was more concrete. And I went for the more concrete one in the end. And the concrete one is, more, it's very, I just couldn't keep away from, when I was starting thinking about puzzles, it was the aspect of time felt so appealing, that doing something in the past and then seeing something in the present and, having an effect in the future. That just seemed like such a powerful stuff, and it was a powerful backdrop for the whole thing. So I couldn't refuse that. And then the more I thought of it, is like, and I knew, of course, even though I played very little of Day of the Tentacle, I checked it out. I played it, but we got
Really?
stuck, and yeah, we played very little of it, but I played it afterwards,
Oh,
and it
wow.
was like blown away. Yeah,
Hmm.
I remember me and a friend, we played it maybe 2 hours, and we got stuck maybe 15% in or something, but we loved it. It wasn't that we didn't love it, we totally did, but for some reason we never got back to the game. But it obviously had those. I knew in the back of my mind that this has been done before, like
Hmm.
the 3 eras and 3 switchable characters. We had that already in Maniac Mansion. And of course, the Tentacle is the continuation of Maniac Mansion. So, but to me, it was more. To me, Maniac Mansion was where it's at. But somehow, the puzzle seemed, the aspect of having times lines like that could be very interesting. And then I just played around with things and like, oh, okay, this makes my tummy tingle a bit. That feels fun. Let's try and get that in, and that could be fun. And then there was a lot of times when I had like, okay, if only I could get a sensible way of getting that thing there, then this thing would make sense. Uh, so yes, but I built all that. That's the first thing I did in the game, was building a graph of the puzzles.
Yeah, so because I remember when I played the demo, which was released a few years ago, and I remember that the puzzles were challenging, that I had to think, but I could still get through it without any help, without any walkthrough. And I did feel that sense of achievement when I did. I was like, oh yes, I can do that now. And I believe, I said I haven't played it, but I believe, did you include a hint system as well in the game? So how did you, because I know this can be challenging itself, that some people want a hint system, others don't because they think that it spoils it for them. But then other people, like you said, we will quit the games if we're stuck. So how did you manage to incorporate that so that it could help people if they're stuck, but then maybe
Yeah,
not try and give it away,
right.
the
Yeah,
answers? How was your thinking behind that? Because I mean, I don't have the answers myself. I wouldn't know.
yeah. That came quite late, I believe. Yes, actually, now I remember. It was I was because you mentioned Broken Sword,
Mm,
and that game in Sweden we never heard of Broken Sword. At least none of my friends ever heard of Broken Sword. I played that for the first time, like 3 years ago, because
really?
everyone was talking about it. Yeah, everyone was talking about it. And I talked to a friend of mine at my age, and I asked, did you play Broken Sword? And he said, I played it, 7 years ago or something.
Oh wow! So it's
For some reason, it must have been, because I would have devoured that game.
mm,
So, but I hadn't seen it, and but there was so much talk about it, so I checked it out, and I was super impressed with the animations and the beautiful tone in the game with those
yes, yes.
backgrounds. And yeah, a true work of art. Very, very impressed. And after finishing the first one, which I absolutely loved, I played the second one, which I thought was great as well. And there they had a hint system. And I just thought they had a very good hint system, actually. You could ask when you got stuck, and you could ask, like, I want to like a level A, B, or C hint,
Mm,
where A would be a vague hint and C would be like, go here and do this. Kind of a, and I felt that was I felt that worked better than having to get a walkthrough, and
right. Yeah.
that feels more cheaty. And I kind of liked that it was in the menu. They had it in the pause menu, just as I did in Justin Wack.
Yeah, they had that on Beyond the Steel Sky as well, which I thought worked really well.
Mm.
No, that's fantastic. Well, Okona in the chat says, I think, is it Daila is a very nice hint system. You almost get the impression that you missed something when not talking to her.
Yeah, that was interesting because Daila, or I think it's pronounced Daila. She was actually also an NPC, a backer. And someone who me and the graphical artist Alberto talked to in a video call, because we had these conversations with most of the NPCs, and she was like very much into puzzle solving and escape rooms and like those kind of like she had the feeling of like a puzzle mastery thing, but I couldn't quite find a place for her in the game that felt natural. So when thinking of a hint system, I was playing around. The idea just occurred that maybe she could be the one that gives the hints. And I have placed like hints cards and stuff in the pawn shop. There's like business cards of Dailas, so it adds to the meta feeling of the whole thing. So yes, I think there might be, for better or worse, there might be a feeling of maybe missing something in talking to her, and you can tell her to you can tell fire her up and say, I never want you to offer me a hint again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that option if you wanted to. So if you just wanted to talk, could you still talk to her in the game? If
yeah.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah, but you can't ask for hints. So she will be like, and she will say like, "Are you sure this is irreversible?
Are you really sure?
Yeah,
you're on your own now."
Yeah, and then she rolls her eyes or something. And says, you're on your own, hotshot, or something like that. That's pretty hardcore. You're on your own, or something like that, she said. And but there is, I did put in like a backdoor to unlock that again.
Oh, okay. So even if we say we don't want,
yeah, jump into the Discord if you have turned it on and you need to enable her, because I have it somewhere.
Okay, so it's always nice to be given the options, I think. If you wanted to, but yeah, no, that's and I remember in the game Inspector Waffles, there's a hint system in that game, and that's your mother. So you play as Inspector Waffles. Your mother was a detective who's now retired, and if you get stuck, you can just call her. And again, it feels completely natural. Ooh. And there's also added comments saying like, did you wash your clothes, dear? And then, oh, how do you do this? Okay, maybe we should talk to this person. But then a motherly comment she would make as well, which so I really like it when some of the characters are part of the hint system as well. I think that still feels natural.
Yeah. That is really cool. That's an excellent. That's a cool thing about. So he's calling his mother, and she can give other stuff as well. Did you remember to do the blah blah blah?
Yeah, and it's optional as well. You don't have to call her.
Cool.
Cool. But yeah, and Kieran in the chat says, yeah, hints built into the narrative are definitely the way forwards. Which yeah, if you can build it into the narrative, into the game. And preferably, probably if it's optional, like in Justin Wack, I think so. Best for everybody. If you don't want to use the hints, you don't have to.
Yeah, and she became practical also to have in at the start of the game. When you start the game, one of the things that I'm very pleased of in the game, because like every game developer, I was banging my head against the wall trying to come up with a good a tutorial system, which is the most boring thing for you, the player, and me, the developer, always. But you think that it's fair that people get some instructions. But what I did here was just when you start the game, you meet Daila in the start menu, and she says like, and by the way, since tutorials are so boring, I just stuck a help note into Justin's inventory. So just look at that if you.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's again, it feels natural.
I really like it because it has that meta feel, and also it's like was super easy for me to just have a hint or rather a help note. And that help note is, like drag and drop stuff from the inventory to hotspots to do stuff and click where you want to go. Those basic stuff that's just super annoying for most players to have to go through. So I kind of liked like that. In the beginning, I was placing that actually on the floor. So right in front of the player. But during playtesting, people kept walking past it. And I was like, and that's something I learned through painstakingly through this. Like the playtesting is it's incredibly hard, because it's so hard to remain calm when you put that note in front of the player, and the player
they don't see it.
Yeah. And in general, like you have so much invested in the game, emotion, and when someone is playing, and of course they're going to do what seems natural to them, and it's not what you had in mind maybe, and you'll be like, like so the tension arises in the room, So I learned for my sanity and the sanity of those around me, it's probably better that people play test and just provide feedback.
Right, rather than watching. Yeah,
because it's really hard because we want people. This is illustrated perfectly by the Tim Schafer in that documentary when they're doing Broken Age. And he invites people to play test, and he's sitting there and being like, so like, are you enjoying yourself now that you're stuck in the game? And people are like, yeah, I guess so, because it's a genre where you want to sit with your cup of tea and not be stressed out.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so. For most point-and-click games, it's whole point, or one of the points I think, is to be relaxed.
Yeah.
That we don't want to it's like drink a cup of tea, or sometimes people play together, and yeah. Now, I also wanted to ask, because I know we're coming up to the hour mark, but with the voice acting from the trailer sounded very interesting, because the robots I particularly liked, that they sound like, I believe one reviewer called them, and this was meant in a good way, a bored Sean Connery. That do you expect me to talk? It's, I know, a terrible impression, but I'm sorry. But was that the intention, or what? First of all, about the robots, was what were you going for then, I suppose, with the voice actor?
The voice actor, first of all, is the voice actors, but the bulk of the voice acting is done by 4 voice actors, and my friend Steven did he did Clute, the caveman, and he did all the agents, and he did a bunch of the smaller parts, and when we were trying out for the agents, for the demo, I basically just like, I don't think I had Scottish in mind. I was just like, try some. We can go out and we can have some fun with these. Try some dialects, and we just messed around a bit. And he's like all of the voice actors are British, because I'm such a fan of British. The British vibe of humor, and it just makes things feel more, like a bit more personal, less Hollywood. So plus I knew more Brits than Americans, so it's easier for me. And he just did that. Maybe I can a conversation. And he did it so well, and I was like, yeah, that thing is actually, that's awesome. Let's do that. And then when I put the effects on afterwards with the Darth Vader kind of effect in post processing, it was like just elevated so much. So yeah, those are my favorites for sure. Did I say that? My favorites? Because I love those, but I was blown away by the guy, Liam, who did Justin.
Okay.
He's so good. Liam James is his name. And I think he's helping out with some other adventure for life. Is it Quest of the Druid or Plot of the Druid?
Oh, Plot of the Druid. Yes, yes.
Yes, I think he's helping out over there. I think, yeah, he's doing some small part there. But and Liam is, like a professional actor and voice acting guy, and all the female voices were done by a fantastic voice actor as well. Or she doesn't really work with voice acting, but she's called, her name is Maddie Savage, and I found her at the co-working place where I sit in Stockholm, playing ping pong. I heard her talking on the phone in a British accent, and I'm like, "Ooh, a British women, exactly what I need for the game." I was, just hanging out, and the conversation went on forever. And when she finally hung up, I was like, "Hi," and I'm sure she thought I was some stalker or something, waiting so long. And I just told her, like, I'm doing this adventure game, and I really like the sound of your voice if you'd like to do some voice acting. And she was like, "Sure, I do tons of voice acting. Here's my rate, hourly rate." And I was like, oh, okay. So what she does is like recording for British news agencies, or a British news agency in Stockholm, if I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's done stuff for BBC and stuff. So she's very like not necessarily used to putting on different parts acting wise, but I think she did a great job.
No, fantastic. Well, I look forward to playing it myself. Kona said that she is yet to, or that they have yet to do a playthrough with voiceover. So, well, you can play through it again with so it's Darth Vader meets Sean Connery for the robot voices.
Yeah, that's strange to me to think that, because O'Connor has played the game a lot, because he's
sorry, my apologies.
No, you're right. He hasn't played it with voice acting. I learned that as well. He's played it just with text, because he's been doing the fantastic German translation.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so he's been very text oriented, and probably not
a lot of work there as well.
Yeah, a lot more than I imagined when when we started. Like, it's been a lot more for him to take on. Like,
sure,
because it's because he didn't just do it like I sent him the lines and he translated. He played through it and really put his heart into it to make sure that it works in the correct that it's in context, everything.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well,
and Sven is also German, so they both speak German anyway. So I think they're both from Germany. So they so I think he's helped out a lot with feedback to Connor.
Cool. Well, I'm sure they're both been very helpful. Now, if anybody in the chat has any questions for Pontus, you have a few minutes still before we finish up. So feel free to write them in the chat if you've got anything at all to ask Pontus while we have him here. But
while we're waiting for that, I'm very disappointed that you didn't ask me about my favorite adventure games, which you have done.
Okay, go.
Every other time.
Oh, yes, because you did mention them before, but okay, go ahead. Well, tell us what your favorite adventure games are.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the last time I did this was 2019, right?
Yes.
So it's and a lot of people probably won't
haven't heard it. So yeah, well, by all means, yes. What are your favorite adventure games?
Because of course I listen to your podcast every episode, and I think it's very interesting to hear these.
Sure, and have you prepared? Because everyone tells me that is the most difficult question. But I'm sure now you're probably prepared and you're probably waiting for that question.
No, yeah, it's more like I kind of remember what I said last time, I think, but it
But
has
we
come
can
up.
see if they match, if they're the same.
Yeah, that's scary. Not necessarily, but but I'm going to go with the ones that was the most important to me.
Sure.
And then I have to start with not Maniac Mansion, but King's Quest 1, because that was the first game, the first
Right.
adventure game I saw. That's
Uh,
like, and I saw it, even before we had a computer. But it was my father's uh, job, and he was, he works in like political departments. I never really understood what a grown up. He has a grown up job. My father with computers, and he showed me King's Quest 1, and he showed me like, okay, you can control this guy, and then you walk up to the door and you type open door, and the door is open, and then you go in.
It I'm sure blew your mind, like
Yeah,
a lot of
totally.
most other people who played at the time.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed with it, and like couldn't believe that my father did anything uh, except playing that game. I mean, how cool is that to have like a virtual world in there? How cool is that? So that one was super big, and the next one had to be Maniac Mansion.
Of
Now we're on the
course.
Commodore 64, and it's even more refined to me, like the LucasArts way of doing these games with the cut scenes. I don't remember any cutscenes from those early Sierra games. I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was all the gameplay from. I mean, I played the Sierra games afterwards as an adult. I got them in the collection that was available. But I don't remember. But yeah, definitely remember in Maniac Mansion with
Yeah,
with the cutting, as you said. Meanwhile,
yeah.
and and yeah, no, definitely, very important games. In the chat, I believe Sven says that their favorite is Days of Tentacle. So guessing that's one of the reasons they enjoy Justin Wack. But and O'Connor
Yeah.
says their favorites are a Space Quest, which is
Hmm.
definitely a lot of people's favorites now. And have there been any? You probably haven't had much time lately, but have you played any modern adventure games in the last few years that you particularly enjoyed?
Sure. Yeah. I try to check out everyone that I come across,
Mm,
because also maybe mostly to like see what
mm.
people are doing with the genre. And one that I played a lot recently and really enjoyed, and I finished it, which I often don't, because I'm not good at playing these games. But that was Voodoo Detective, the Voodoo
Yes,
Detective game. Yeah,
yes.
I heard your interview with those guys.
Yeah, they were really fun to talk to. I still have to play that game myself. I have a list of games that I still want to, but now I got the Steam Deck, so I hope that I'll be able to get around to playing these games now over the next few months that I haven't been able to get because I've been traveling to different places during the year. And
Okay.
now hopefully I can bring my Steam Deck with me,
Oh,
which will
okay.
be nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've heard good things about that game.
Yeah, I think that was really cool. It's hard to put your finger on what's so good about it, but it's really good. So it has that love. It has that that
Mm,
the actual love itself. Not just not just the visuals of love, but there's something there in the storytelling and everything.
mm.
It's a really good one, and uh, I think the puzzles felt pretty natural, and I really enjoyed that they had a lot of, yeah, the way I like it, that the puzzles are a part of the story, like, and not so many like drawers and sliders and stuff. And
Sure, yeah, that always helps.
yeah, they pulled it off really well. And but I also played. I think we mentioned before we started talking the cat. We have the lick option.
Yes, I think it's time record is about to be released. 9 more lives.
Yes, 9 more lives. Yeah, I like that one. And speaking of voice acting, the voice acting in there was
Absolutely.
beautiful.
I think people will enjoy that game when it's just again time recording. Just a couple of weeks. I really think people will enjoy that game.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but I think that those are two that comes to mind. But I check them all out. Oh, of course, I'm forgetting one of my absolute favorites, which I think is has gone by a bit unnoticed. Did you talk to? I don't think you did. Talk to Jeremy Frick of the Dexter Stardust game.
oh no, I played that game. I reviewed it actually on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it as well. I played it on the Switch.
Okay. Oh, cool.
And actually, I think the controls on that, because I was a little bit hesitant point and click on the Switch. I wasn't sure how it would work, but I think that the gameplay worked really, really well on the Switch. That even though it was point and click, it still felt completely natural, which I'm sure is not easy on the Switch because the controls were so there's no mouse on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it worked really well.
Yeah, he himself says that that's actually the ultimate experience for that game. Which made me like, wow, that's really cool to hear, because that now that I released this game, I'm probably thinking of, okay, maybe porting it to different.
Yeah, do you have any plans to port Justin Wack?
Well, when he said that the Switch worked so well, I was, that feels like maybe the definite, maybe the next frontier. But I'll have to. I don't really know how much work it is and how. I'll have to do some investigation there, but that might just happen because he said exactly like you, like this. It actually works very well on that with those physical controls there.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the controls. And
yeah.
Do you know if Justin Wack is Steam Deck compatible as well?
In a roundabout way, it is. Yes, you can start it and you can play it. Okona knows this better than I, because he has one of those. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Okona, but I think you have the possibility of like configuring the controls a bit yourself as a player. I think, and not in the game, but in
settings or.
Yeah, settings for the deck. I think you can remap controls or something.
I think so. I haven't had a chance to look at it much myself, but for different games, and I think some of the games it's automatic.
Yeah, I think actually you can play it automatically because they have the touch thingy maps to the mouse, and the click matches to the key to the mouse, and so you can play it. But he definitely said that if you tweak a bit of the settings, it works. Almost flawlessly,
Oh, very nice. Yeah, they just. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I, as I understand it, if I put more time into it, I could probably, from my end, make it work great from the beginning. So people won't have to do that. But as it is now. It works, but to get a really good experience, you should talk to Okon on the Discord, because I think he has a file or something that you can.
Oh wow! Okay, well I might be hitting them up. Yeah, they just mentioned in the chat that they can play it on the deck, and that Okona said that they prefer using the touchpads, but you can completely configure the controls the way you like, and you have complete freedom on the Steam Deck. So that's good. It's also playable on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Which
is kind of cool, right? So
yeah.
And also that means people with Linux computers can play the game with mouse and keyboards, which was something that I didn't really promise in the Kickstarter, because I didn't really, I don't have a beard. I don't know how to do Linux stuff. So. But there are other possibly bearded members on the Discord that help me out.
Fantastic. And then before we finished, and you mentioned that you wanted to continue making more games. I know again, Justin Wack has just been released. But do you have? Are you able to say anything at all about what you might be working on? Might we see more Justin Wack, the Wackiverse, maybe, or something new, something different, or even maybe not adventure games? I don't know. I'll leave this up to you. Whatever
Okay.
you're able to say, whatever you feel comfortable
Yeah, sure.
saying now about the future.
Maybe I should announce a release date for the next game.
Sure, yeah, that'll go well. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Can't see anything going wrong with that.
Yeah, that sounds like it sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exclusive on the podcast.
Yes. I don't know, but I do have like a handful of ideas that I like to pursue. But I'm not sure which one I will pick. But I have a few, and at least one of them is in the same universe as Justin Wack, but it's not. You don't play Justin, Julia, and Clute. It's but it's in the same like franchise, if you will, or same
sure.
world. So that could be interesting, but it's definitely it has storytelling in it, but it's not a traditional story-driven point-and-click game. So it's that's something that I might look into. But I have one idea that is traditional storytelling as well. So, and I have one that is kind of bizarre that I might want to do. And so I have a bunch of ideas, I try them mentally and listen to the tummy, and if it tingles, that's the one I'll go with. And they all kind of tingle, but in a different frequency. So I have to decide on which tingle frequency is the one.
Your Spidey sense, or your Witten sense.
Yeah. So there, it's definitely I like to be clear about that my goal since starting was not to do one game, was trying to establish my dream is to be one of those people who can make a living making these narrative games. So that is my goal, and it's my dream, and I hope to. The plan is definitely to drop not just one game, but many games, hopefully. So yeah.
Well, you started. You're on the road now. You've released one game, so you are officially a developer.
Yeah. It feels weird. To me, it feels weird when I look at the date now and see 24th, because to me it was like a 23rd. That's when it all ends. So I'm surprised that we're still here.
We're still here. People are playing your game, and from what I can read, enjoying your game. And we will, of course, be reviewing your game once we play it.
Cool. Have I sent you a key or something?
Well, I was one of the backers, so I got the key as well. And actually,
I sent it out to you manually by mail.
But one of the things, a couple of things very brief wanted to mention that is very good. First of all, I think your experience as a consultant, you can see, because we can see in the game that you're giving instructions about the tutorial, and also in the email for any developer that's listening. I think for Kickstarter, this is, I think, really good. You sent a key, and you also sent instructions on how to activate it. And I think that's really important, because not everyone would automatically know how to do that. So I think that's definitely really, really good. I was very happy to see that.
Cool.
So, and what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, you also sent the key, very early as well. There were, again, I won't mention the name, but there were maybe one or two other developers from Kickstarter, and they sent, and again, I know they're super, super busy, but they sent the keys out, I think it was one case about a week later. Now, for me, it's not so bad, because I have plenty of other games to play, plenty of other things to do, but I know there were some people who were complaining, and so you want to keep Kickstarter backers on your side. But so far, you again, very quick, very efficient with instructions. And so I think people can learn from you. If you are adventure game developers on Kickstarter, I would say they could contact. I don't know if
absolutely.
It would,
Absolutely.
because it's worked very well for you. That you've done things really, really well, and even after the release of the game, which is important as well. Using those two examples.
Well, thanks a
Um,
lot. That means a
so
lot to me.
yeah,
So thank you very much
genuinely,
for
I was
saying
very,
that.
very happy. The instructions, and then very quick as well after the release or before the release as well. Which again we shouldn't take for granted. Again, I know how well, I don't know, but I imagine how hard it is for developers like yourself. But you've done it really, really well. So I think people can definitely learn from you. So, and I'm
Well,
saying this genuine, not saying this because you're here.
yeah, that's awesome. And I love to talk about development and
Mm,
games in general. So if any of you people listening are planning to do a Kickstarter, because I know you have a lot of listeners like me,
also developers, yes.
also some creators. I'm always available for, like picking my brain of what I
Mm,
learned through this journey. And I asked tons of people who have heard on your podcast for advice.
mm.
So you mentioned Charlotte.
Sullivan, yes.
I asked her recently about, like, do you know how this works and yada yada. And everyone's very helpful.
Yeah, which is great about the community. That it doesn't seem
Yeah,
to be like, I'm sure there's, not competition per se, but everyone is helping each other, it seems, which is
yeah.
wonderful to see.
Yes, it's very little of competition and very much
Mm,
a cooperation thing. It just makes sense. So,
absolutely.
and it feels better. So it's because she's recently gone through what I'm going through. So I had to, like, ask her about, like, do you have a tip on this and that? So I'm definitely here for anyone who wants to bounce stuff like that.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, also Death Corp game in the chat says you are totally a dev. So
I'm totally a what? A dev?
a dev, a developer.
Oh, yes. Oh,
So
I'm a
you
developer. Yeah.
definitely. So before we finish, is there anything else that you would like to mention or discuss before we finish? Anything that that we didn't cover? Sure, there's probably a lot of things. I mean, I could spend hours, but
Well, um, well, I just want to say that a big thank you to anyone who's helped out along the way. It's been awesome to get feedback and have people trying the game and testing the game and anything. And thank you so much for showing interest. And yeah, it's been a very fun journey. And did you say Death Corp was on the?
yes.
Well, then I have to definitely call out him. We mentioned Alberto already. That's the guy who did all the backgrounds and the
Oh
animations,
wow.
basically all the graphics. So he's making his own game now. That's Alberto Costa, and he's making his own game called Death Corp, which he has a free demo on itch, coming to Steam soon. So if you like the art style of Justin Wack, you have the same thing. Even more of his style there, so it's so everyone should check that out. And he's an awesome guy. Hi Alberto. It was great to talk to you the other day. We had, since we worked very intimately or closely in the beginning of this, and afterwards I worked alone for a long time, just getting everything working. We had a nice conversation on the release day, where we, did a little retrospective thinking of, like, wow, it's been an interesting journey. So yeah.
Cool. Well, very best of luck, Alberto. I think I can speak for a lot of people to say I think that we do definitely love the backgrounds of don't think there's any controversy with your game with the background or animations.
No, Alberto's animations, his animations in particular, I think is absolutely
yes, no,
amazing.
absolutely. I love that about just the back from the demo.
amazing.
Yeah. And curious about that Corp game. I have to check that out now as well. Well, thank you, Pontus. And again, time recording, we don't know if Adventure X is going ahead. Hopefully by the time I upload this on the podcast, it will be going ahead this year, because you very kindly bought me a pint last time, and I think I said I will buy you a pint next year. Then 2020 happened, so I still owe you that pint.
Good that you're keeping score.
Yeah, so if not, I'll have to go to Sweden or
Yeah,
somewhere,
yeah,
just because I don't like being in. Well, also to meet you. Again, I'd love to go to Sweden. I've never been, but hopefully we could meet either or in Sweden and in Adventure X. Hopefully that will be
yeah,
going ahead, and we can
yeah.
meet again. And
Absolutely.
it was fantastic. But no, thank you for joining me again. Once again, huge congratulations on releasing, because first of all, it's an achievement releasing a game. As we know from some other people who take years as well, but you seem to have done it again without a hitch, and it's getting good reviews. It's on Steam. Yes,
Yep.
it's
It's on
yeah.
Steam, and it's also, I should mention, it's also on a DRM-free store called Fireflower Games.
Oh yes, yeah. I should mention them. They seem like great people. The Fireflower, if DRM free, they have a ton of really interesting games as well, and really good supporters of adventure games. So shout out to Fireflower Games as well. I can put the link there as well. But a huge thank you for agreeing to speak to me, and thank you to everyone who came on the chat. Well, to finish off, Dead Kirk Game says, "Cheers, man. Let's make more games together."
Boom.
And I think we all want that. So thank you everyone for joining me, and thank you, Pontus. And we will definitely keep in touch, and hope to hear about what you're doing in future. Hopefully not too long in the future.
Yes, hopefully we can speak on November on Adventure.
Yes,
Hopefully, but we'll see what happens.
hopefully. Well,
Okay, because
thank you.
I bought plane tickets and I started mental preparations for flying, which which for someone like me is like, okay, I don't like flying, so but hopefully it happens.
Well,
Adventure X.
let's see. Hopefully by the time people are listening, it will be happening or will have happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much, Pontus, and thank you everyone for joining us. And we'll chat very soon.